Hey guys, what is happening? Niad here with Film Comics Explained. I am buggered. It takes quite a bit of time to work on these videos for you guys. I'm balancing life, my job, and working on this, leaving me with less than 5 hours of sleep every night. But you guys are loving it, so I won't stop until I have a nervous breakdown. We are back for the third chapter of Aliens Outbreak. When we had left, Hicks had smuggled Newt on board the Benedict, which was scheduled to launch for the alien homeworld. After the Benedict had left, we also saw that the KO-14, led by Massey, was in close pursuit. Now, Massey is an intelligent sociopath who has been hired by a powerful company called Bionational to sabotage the Benedict and to take samples from the alien homeworld. At the same time, Bionational is conducting research on several patients who are suffering from the same xenomorphic nightmares. We return to the labs of Bionational. There is a man strapped to a bed who is having nightmares. 2 scientists are monitoring his condition. One of them points out that he is coming out of it. He is the survivor from the junket who has an alien parasite on him that appears to be dormant. As he begins to wake up, they tell him his name is James Mikowski and that he was the captain of the space freighter, the junket. They also tell him that he is in a quarantined medical facility on Earth and offer to release his straps if he is feeling up to it. James asks if someone could explain what is happening and tells them he would like to see his wife. We can see the executives from before are watching him through reflective panels. The scientist explains to them that the creature has lodged itself in his digestive system, drawing relatively insignificant amounts of blood. It is also growing at an incredible rate. They ask him whether the pilot knows what is happening to him, and the doc tells him that they have been having ongoing ethical questions about whether or not they should tell him, considering the ultimate prognosis will be death by chest burst. They agree that in order to effectively study the creature and its effect on him, James should be notified. As the executives are walking away from the lab, they mention that the company had already dropped hints at a weapons convention in San Diego, which has got a lot of people excited. We then head to a motel bedroom. There is a pregnant woman talking to Salvage, who thinks he is a prophet for the Xenomorphs. She says that he has done nothing but stare at her all day. This is where we start to realize she is a prostitute. He goes on to say that women are blessed as they know how it feels to be joined with another life. She gets onto the bed and asks if he wants anything else, and he says that he wants to know how it feels. Salvage returns to a secret broadcasting location where the technician has been waiting for him. He lets him know that a couple of government suits had dropped by his shop, asking questions about the channel he had set up for Sal. And Sal asks what he told them, and the tech says that he told them nothing. Essentially, if they knew what he did, they would pull his license and he would lose his military contracts. He's pretty annoyed here as he tells Sal that he's been doing this for 3 years and has never encountered a problem, until now. Salvage pulls the curtain to reveal a xenomorph. The tech asks what it is. Sal grabs him by the face and says, "The Messiah, the Immaculate Incubation God." The tech tells Sal that he's out of his mind and that he wasn't going to risk his career. Sal flings him into the ground and grabs him by the shirt. He informs him that they are both nothing but vessels to serve the true Messiah, glorified in having been chosen for the ultimate communion. He drags him to the feet of the alien and tells him to look. When the tech refuses, he pulls his head by the hair and yells at him. He tells him that the broadcasts will continue, and he also says not to be afraid of the government, but to fear him instead. We arrive on the KO-14, where the plan is being revealed to us. Massey tells the pilot to stay back so that the sensors on the Benedict do not pick them up until after they go through gravity burn. He then heads to the briefing room, where he goes over the plan. He tells his soldiers that they are going to enter the Benedict through one of the 5 access ports. He says that they will have low-level blasters, but asks them to be careful, as although the military ships were armored, one unlucky shot could still breach the hull. They are told to hold the crew prisoner until they reach the alien homeworld. Once there, they are to purge the military computers, destroy the ship, and leave no survivors. We get to the Benedict where Stephen has found out about Newt. He is screaming at Hicks, saying that his suspicions of Hicks being unreliable have been confirmed by this insane stunt. He asks him what he was thinking, and Hicks says that he offers no excuses. Stevens orders him to explain not just to him, but to the crew why he had brought extra weight onto a carefully balanced gravity drive ship. Newt jumps to his defense and says that it wasn't his fault as he did it for her. Stephen starts to rip into Newt but is stopped by Hicks, who tells him to leave her out of it. He insists that the gravity balance is normal as he dumped 104 pounds of the raspberry flavoured shit before takeoff. We see Bueller saying that he liked the raspberry shit before the other grunt tells him to shut up. Now I really feel Bueller is this story's Hudson. Rest in peace, Bill Paxton. Stevens threatens to lock him up until he can be court-martialed. Hicks cleverly tells him that he was sure the military court would also be interested in hearing how a top-secret military vessel was able to leave base without a thorough inspection by the commanding officer. We get to Easley, one of the grunts on board the Benedict, who is doing checks across the ship. He hears a message being sent by an unknown person to the KO-14. He enters one of the spare rooms and sees something that shocks him. He asks himself whether the others know about this, as he is stabbed through the neck with a piece of piping. Damn! We then see his body being dragged across the floor, leaving a huge trail of blood. The killer opens the airlock, grabs a suit, and removes the pipe from Easley's neck before putting him into the suit. Miraculously, Easley is not dead yet, although he is close to it. The soldiers on the bridge notice that somebody is opening one of the airlocks. The killer pops a grenade before opening it. We see a huge explosion go off, sending Easley off into space. Hicks arrives to see this and asks who that was. They tell him they are not sure and that he is not responding. The light from the force of the explosion causes Hicks to shield his eyes. We get back to Bio-National, where James is being monitored. He is dreaming and tells us there is pain inside him and that he wants to live. He reaches over to one of the lab coats and grabs their gun. He shoots the scientist before shooting the reflected glass and everyone behind it. He tells us that the guards were dead and that he wanted to kill more as he didn't care. He is killing everyone that gets in his way as he makes it outside and tells a couple to exit their car. He gets in and another guard appears in front of him, which he kills by driving into him. He tells us that while death is all around him, he feels utterly alive. He is on the highway, speeding towards his wife as a helicopter cuts him off. It fires at him and he spins to avoid it. It somehow crashes into one of the buildings as he says they don't understand. This is his time and that he could not be denied. We see him pull up outside his building. He runs into the elevator and tells us that he is so close to her now. His wife opens the door and they embrace as more guards run at them. He shoots them dead as he and his wife make a break for the ship the guards had flown in. He says that they have nowhere to go and that he will aim for the sun. He turns to his right to reveal his wife is an alien and says that she is beautiful. That whole thing appears to have been a dream as we see the same events playing out again. James is shaking, reaching for the gun, but this time they were able to stop him from getting it. A growth begins to push against his ribs and they realize the alien is coming out of him. The executive who was watching from outside rushes in, saying that he wants to see the birth firsthand. The expert tells him that he would feel better if he waited with him, but is told not to worry about it. The scientists are wondering what is taking so long for it to come out and speculate whether he is fighting it. The executive is worried that James is hurting the specimen and we see him approach. He asks what the hell he thought he was doing and tells him that the entire project depended on him. James grabs him and says, "You want it?" He pulls the executive over and tells him he can have it as the alien bursts out of James and into the exec. They start to make a break for the door as the executive asks for help. The scientist tells him he is exposing the entire lab, but he has now walked through the door. A system breach alarm begins to sound across the whole building. They all realize what this means, and we see another executive head over to investigate. The guard with him points the gun at the alien, saying that he thought he could hit it if Raina holds still, but is immediately shot by the other executive. He tells us that he had to save it as it was too important, and that Raina would understand they need the alien alive. The story starts to get very dark as we head to an underground lab. The technician from before has been strapped to a table. A man approaches him saying that he has been declared a terrorist by the government and has no rights under American law. They are essentially about to torture him for information. He tells them that he can't feel anything and is told they've administered temporary spinal blocks to deaden everything from the neck down. They want to know about the church and their plans for the Xenomorphs, Pinter tells them that he's afraid to say anything for fear of being turned into one of them. The surgeon says that the technician is good with his hands, which is why he was going to start with the feet. He asks them what they are doing, and we can see his face sweating profusely. The surgeon replies by saying it's what he is doing that they are interested in. They want to know what he saw and who was involved, and state that they won't hurt him if they get all the information they needed. He then tells Pinter to look in the mirror and notifies him that he won't feel anything until they stop the spinal, after which he will warm up quickly with pain. We return to the Bionational building. They have quarantined and sealed the alien off where it was. The other executive, Ostro, is talking to the body of Raynor through a hovering camera. He tells him that the others may have forgotten his sacrifice, but promises that he remembers and will always remember. He explains that they captured it while it fed on him. He tells them that he didn't die in vain. Ostro explains that Rain would have been thrilled with their progress. They initially planned on studying the specimen while waiting for the KO-14 to return, but seem to have stumbled into a bit of luck. What we then see is that the creature they had captured was actually a queen. She is laying multiple eggs, as Ostro tells us that this changed things. And that is the end of Volume 3 to Aliens Outbreak. Things really picked up in this issue. I hope you guys had fun. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like and to subscribe to stay up to date on all my content. I'm Niat with Film Comics Explained. Thanks for stopping by.